Have you ever picked up the phone, heard a warm, friendly voice on the other end, and assumed that person would always be there tomorrow, in the next year, and 10 years from now? What if I told you that one of the world's most reliable voices in global business is slowly fading, not with a crash or a headline, but with a quiet, almost polite disappearance? Do you believe that an entire industry can shrink without most people noticing, even the people whose lives depend on it? One evening in Quezon City, the kind of humid night that sticks to your skin and slows your thoughts, a man named Ramon sat outside a small noodle shop, staring at his phone. The screen showed a missed call from a foreign number. A decade ago, that kind of call would have made his heart race with excitement. It meant overtime. It meant bonuses. It meant another client in the United States trusting his voice, his patience, his English. But tonight, the call felt different. It felt like an echo from a world that was slowly moving away from him. Here is the small shock that caught even Ramon off guard. Earlier that week, his team leader, a woman who had never once missed a shift in 12 years, quietly cried in the break room after a meeting. No shouting, no dramatic exit, just silent tears and a simple sentence. The contract is ending. The client is moving operations somewhere else, and some of the work is being replaced by software. It was not a scandal. It was not a collapse. It was a gentle closing of a door that had once been wide open. Ramon had built his life around that open door. Like millions of Filipinos, he entered the outsourcing world in his early 20s. Drawn by the promise of stable income, night shift premiums, and a sense of global connection. His parents had worked hard in traditional jobs that barely paid the bills. Ramon believed he had found something different, a modern path, a bridge between the Philippines and the wider world. At first, everything felt magical. He learned American slang from customers who joked about their dogs and their weekend barbecues. He practiced empathy with callers who were angry, scared, or simply lonely. Over time, he became not just a voice on a line, but a quiet companion to strangers thousands of miles away. He felt proud. He felt needed. And for a long time, the Philippines felt unstoppable in this space. Cities grew taller. Cafes stayed open all night. Young professionals carried laptops and coffee cups like symbols of a new era. Families depended on outsourcing salaries to send children to school, to buy homes, to support relatives in the provinces. The industry was not just a job market. It was a social transformation. But something subtle began to change. Ramon noticed fewer new hires in training rooms that once buzzed with nervous energy. He heard whispers about clients experimenting with automated chat systems and voice assistants that never slept and never asked for overtime pay. At first, these changes seemed distant, like a rumor you hear on the bus and forget by the time you get home. Have you ever ignored a small sign because life felt stable enough? Ramon did. Most people did. Then one night, during a routine call, a longtime customer casually mentioned that the company was testing a new system that could handle basic support without human agents. The customer said it lightly, as if talking about a new phone app. But Ramon felt a strange chill. He laughed politely and finished the call, yet the words stayed with him long after his shift ended. He began paying closer attention to the city around him. Some co-working spaces were quieter. Some friends had started freelancing or applying overseas again, something they thought they would never need to do. A few smaller outsourcing offices closed quietly, their signs removed overnight like a secret. What if I told you that the disappearance of the outsourcing economy is not about failure or laziness, but about a deeper shift in how the world values human connection, cost efficiency, and speed? What if this quiet change is asking all of us to rethink what stability really means in a digital age? Ramon started asking himself hard questions. Had he grown too comfortable? Had the industry promised permanence in a world that never stands still? He felt grateful for everything outsourcing had given him, but also uneasy, like someone realizing that a familiar road is slowly narrowing. One weekend, he visited his parents in the province. Sitting under a mango tree, listening to the hum of insects and distant motorcycles, he told them about the possible layoffs. His father listened quietly, then said something simple. Every generation thinks they have found the safest path. The world always finds a way to surprise us. That sentence lingered in Ramon's mind. It was not comforting, yet it was honest. The outsourcing boom had lifted millions, but perhaps it was never meant to last forever in the same form. The question was not whether change was coming, but how people like Ramon would respond to it. As the night deepened back in the city, Ramon walked past the glowing office towers, each window representing a story, a family, a dream. He wondered how many of those lights would still be on in 5 years, and what new lights might replace them. He did not feel despair, but he felt a quiet urgency to understand what was really happening beneath the surface of this once unstoppable industry. And that curiosity, mixed with uncertainty and hope, is where our journey truly begins. Ramon did not suddenly become an economist or a technology expert. He was still a call center agent trying to make sense of his own future. But once curiosity takes root, it has a way of changing how you see everything. On his breaks, instead of scrolling aimlessly on his phone, he started reading articles, watching interviews, and listening to conversations among supervisors and trainers. He noticed patterns that he had once ignored. One trainer mentioned that clients were under pressure to cut costs as competition intensified in their own markets. Another supervisor explained that newer software could handle repetitive tasks faster and with fewer errors. These were not evil decisions. They were business decisions. But for the people whose livelihoods depended on those contracts, they felt personal. Have you ever realized that a decision made in a boardroom thousands of miles away can quietly reshape your daily life without ever mentioning your name? Ramon felt that distance more clearly now. The outsourcing economy had always been global, but the human impact was local, deeply local. He also noticed a shift in the kind of work being offered. Basic customer service roles were becoming fewer, while specialized roles required stronger technical skills, data analysis, or niche expertise. Younger workers who grew up coding or managing digital tools adapted faster. Older agents, some in their 40s and 50s, felt anxious. They had built mastery in human communication, not in navigating complex systems. Ramon spoke with a colleague named Liza, a single mother who had worked night shifts for nearly 15 years. She loved the stability outsourcing gave her children, but now she worried about being replaced by a machine that never got tired or emotional. She was not angry, she was afraid. That quiet fear, shared in whispered conversations over coffee, became a common thread across many offices. Another layer of change came from other countries entering the outsourcing race. New markets offered lower labor costs, newer infrastructure, or different language advantages. Clients who once saw the Philippines as the gold standard began diversifying their operations. Again, this was not betrayal, it was strategy. But strategies do not pay rent or school fees. People do. Ramon began to understand that the outsourcing economy was not disappearing overnight. It was thinning, like a forest slowly losing its tallest trees. From the outside, it still looked green and alive. From the inside, you could feel the gaps forming. Do you believe that progress always feels like progress to everyone involved? Sometimes progress feels like uncertainty, wearing a polite smile. Yet something unexpected happened inside Ramon. Instead of only fear, he felt a strange sense of motivation. If the old model was changing, perhaps he needed to change with it. He enrolled in an online course about basic data tools, studying during slow hours and on weekends. It was exhausting, but it also made him feel alive again, like a beginner discovering a new language. He was not alone. Some of his co-workers started side businesses. Others explored remote freelancing platforms. A few returned to school. The office conversation slowly shifted from complaints to possibilities, from nostalgia to experimentation. It was messy and uneven, but it was movement. Still, not everyone could move at the same pace. Ramon saw friends struggle with anxiety, burnout, and self-doubt. The outsourcing industry had given them identity and community, not just income. Losing or changing that identity felt like losing a part of themselves. One night, Ramon had a long call with an elderly customer in the United States who simply wanted someone to talk to. The woman spoke about how technology had made life faster, but also lonelier. Ramon listened, offering patience and warmth as he always had. After the call ended, he realized something quietly powerful. Human connection still mattered deeply. It just had to find new spaces and new forms. The question was not whether humans would become useless. The question was how humans would redefine their value in a world of intelligent machines and shifting global economics. As Ramon walked home under flickering streetlights, he felt a blend of uncertainty and hope. The outsourcing economy that shaped his adulthood might be fading, but something else was trying to be born. He did not yet know what it looked like, only that resisting change would not protect him. Understanding it might, and so his journey continued, not away from his past but through it, carrying lessons, relationships, and resilience into whatever came next. Months passed, and the changes Ramon once feared became more visible, but also more understandable. Some teams downsized, some contracts ended. At the same time, new roles quietly emerged, focused on higher-level support, content moderation, technical troubleshooting, and digital services that required both empathy and analytical thinking. The landscape was shifting, not collapsing. Ramon completed his online course and began assisting his team with small data tasks. It was not glamorous, and it did not instantly raise his salary, but it gave him a sense of direction. He felt less like a passenger and more like a participant in his own future. He also started mentoring younger agents, sharing not just technical tips, but stories about adaptability, patience, and humility. He told them honestly that no job is permanent, but every skill can evolve. In those conversations, he saw reflections of his younger self, hopeful, nervous, and eager to belong to something meaningful. Have you ever noticed that true stability does not come from a single industry or title, but from your ability to learn, connect, and adjust? Ramon began to see his past not as something disappearing, but as a foundation that prepared him for change. The Philippines itself was also quietly adapting. Educational programs emphasized digital skills. Small startups experimented with local solutions rather than relying solely on foreign clients. Communities explored tourism, creative work, and remote entrepreneurship. The country's strength had always been its people, their warmth, resilience, and communication skills. Those qualities did not vanish just because one economic model softened. Of course, challenges remained. Not everyone could transition easily. Inequality, access to education, and mental health support became more important conversations. Ramon volunteered in a community workshop that introduced basic digital literacy to older workers. Watching someone in their 50s learn to navigate a new tool reminded him that growth has no age limit, only varying speeds. One evening, he received another call from a foreign number. This time, it was a recruiter offering a role that combined customer communication with data monitoring. It was not exactly what he imagined for himself years ago, but it felt aligned with who he was becoming. He accepted the interview with cautious optimism. As he ended the call, Ramon smiled, remembering the fear he once felt outside that noodle shop. The fear had not disappeared completely, but it had transformed into awareness and intention. He realized that the outsourcing economy was not simply quietly disappearing. It was quietly asking people to grow beyond it. Do you believe that endings can also be invitations? Invitations to rethink comfort, redefine success, and rediscover purpose. Ramon still cherished the late-night conversations with strangers across the ocean, the laughter shared through headsets, the sense of being part of a global story. Those memories shaped him, but now he carried them forward into a broader understanding of work, value, and identity. If you are listening to this and thinking about your own career, your own industry, your own sense of security, maybe Ramon's story feels familiar in a small way. Maybe you have noticed subtle changes around you, the quiet signals that something old is shifting. Instead of fearing those signals, perhaps we can meet them with curiosity and courage. The world will continue to evolve, sometimes faster than we would like, sometimes slower than we expect. What remains constant is our capacity to learn, to care, and to adapt. Ramon's journey is not just about the Philippines or outsourcing. It is about being human in a changing world. And as the city lights continue to glow each night, not as bright in some windows, Brighter in others, the story goes on, not with a loud ending, but with a thoughtful beginning. If this story made you pause, reflect, or see the world a little differently, I invite you to stay connected with us. Take a moment to like this video so more people who are quietly navigating change can find it too. Share it with someone who might be standing at a crossroads in their own life or career. And if you want more stories that explore real people, real shifts, and the hidden forces shaping our future, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss what's next. Most importantly, I'd love to hear from you. Have you noticed quiet changes in your own industry or community? Are you adapting or still searching for your next step? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Your story might inspire someone else who's listening right now and wondering if they're alone on this journey.